I never thought I'd cry in the bathroom at work. But there I was, locked in the last stall, trying to stifle the sobs that kept breaking out of me like tremors after an earthquake. It wasn't the first time, but it was the worst it had been building for months. The looks. The snickers. The sudden silence when I walked into the room. At first, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. That I was being paranoid. But when you hear your name followed by laughter one too many times, you start to realize it's not just in your head, it's everywhere. In their whispers, their jokes, and worst of all, in their silence, I was the fat one in the office. Not the fun one. Not the smart one. Not the talented one. Just the fat one, and people made sure I never forgot it, they never said it to my face. Oh no, that would be too direct. Instead, it was little things, passive-aggressive comments masked as concern. Are you sure you want another muffin, love? Wow, you're brave to wear that dress. I wish I had your confidence. Or worse, being completely left out. Meetings I was supposed to be in forgotten. Group lunches I was never invited to. Office happy hours where they conveniently forgot to include me in the group chat. I felt like I was fading away while somehow taking up too much space at the same time. One day, something inside me just snapped. It was during our quarterly team presentation. I had spent 2 full weeks working late, crafting the slides, doing the research, checking every single detail. It was good. No, it was great, but when the time came to present it, guess what happened? They gave the credit to Mark, who showed up late every day. Mark, who always asked me to explain the numbers. Mark, who once told me I should try keto because it worked wonders for his dog. He took my work, my spotlight, my moment, and no one said a word. I stood there, frozen, fake smiling while clapping for him like everyone else. My chest burned, but I just kept clapping. I didn't want to seem emotional. Because that's another thing they say, isn't it? That fat women are too sensitive. Too dramatic. Too much. That was the day I stopped trying to fit in, but more importantly, it was the day I decided to fight back, not for revenge, but for me. I didn't know what to do at first. I was angry, humiliated, tired, and honestly, hopeless. I had tried every diet under the sun, juice cleanses, fasting, counting calories. Some weird soup thing from the 90s. Nothing worked. Or it would work for a while, then I'd gain everything back, and more. Like a cruel joke, but one night, while scrolling through YouTube at 3 a.m., the usual late-night spiral of how to change your life videos, I saw this woman, glowing, confident, radiant. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. I was excluded too. I was invisible until I decided to change. And it all started with something I almost forgot the name of. Oh right, it was called Mitolyn. Mitolyn, that name stuck in my head like a song you can't get out. She looked so real. Not like a fake influencer selling protein tea. You could feel the pain in her eyes, even behind the smile. She had been where I was. And now, she was free. I don't know why, but I believed her. I clicked the link. I read everything. I read it twice. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something tiny inside me flicker. Hope. That night, I made a promise to myself: no more hiding. No more crying in bathroom stalls. No more letting people walk over me like I was some doormat with a pulse. This was going to be my turning point. I didn't know where it would take me, or how long it would take, but I knew one thing for sure: they were going to remember my name, and next time, they were going to say it with respect. To all of you who feel invisible, I want you to know, I'll share everything. I'm leaving the name of what helped me in the YouTube comments below. I want every woman who's ever felt like she wasn't enough to know she can change her life. Just like I did. When I look back now, I can still remember the way I used to look at myself in the mirror, not with love, not with pride, but with a quiet, gnawing disgust. Every morning felt like a battle. I'd avoid my reflection as much as I could. I'd throw on whatever clothes seemed to hide the most, pull my cardigan tightly around my arms, and tell myself, it's fine. You're fine. Just get through the day. But I wasn't fine, I hated what I saw in the mirror. But worse than that, I hated the way the world responded to what it saw in me, and that kind of self-hate? It's the heaviest thing a woman can carry, heavier than any number on a scale. After I ordered the Mitolyn, yes, I'll talk about that in a second, I didn't expect anything magical. Honestly, I half expected it not to arrive at all. Or to arrive and be just another dusty bottle I'd throw in a drawer in a few weeks, but it did arrive, and something about holding it in my hands felt different, like, this might be it. I took the first capsule that evening, half skeptical, half desperate. I didn't tell anyone. This was between me and the mirror. The first few days were subtle. I didn't feel jittery or sick, which was already a miracle compared to the other things I'd tried. But what shocked me the most, I wasn't starving all the time. You don't realize how much of your day is spent thinking about food when you're constantly hungry, constantly tired, constantly craving something you can't even name. But suddenly, I wasn't thinking about food every 5 minutes. My mood stabilized. I felt calm. Like I was finally in control, and then came the moment. It was day 9. I remember it because it was a Wednesday, and I was late for work, again. I threw on my usual black trousers and blouse, but something felt off. They were loose, not just a little. Loose. Noticeably loose. I froze in front of the mirror. For the first time in years, I turned and looked at myself, not to criticize, but to check, was it real? I stepped on the scale, 0.4 pounds. Gone, and the strangest part, I wasn't doing anything extreme. I was just living. Eating better without trying. Moving more because I had more energy. It felt natural. Like my body had finally stopped fighting me. Weeks passed. I didn't tell anyone at first. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to protect this fragile hope like a secret flame. But the changes became undeniable. My coworkers began to notice. Did you do something different with your hair? Have you been working out? You look happier. But I hadn't changed my hair. I hadn't joined a gym. All I had done was start taking, wait, what was it called again? Oh, Mitolyn, yes, Mitolyn. That was it. God, it was a miracle. I know that word gets thrown around too much, but what else do you call something that makes you feel alive again? Then came the turning point. The office was preparing for a big client pitch, and guess who was suddenly being included in meetings again? Me. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Maybe I was just imagining it. But no, people were treating me differently. They listened when I spoke. They laughed at my jokes. They started seeing me. It made me angry and sad at the same time. Had I really needed to shrink myself to be respected? But that thought didn't stop me. If anything, it fueled me, because now I had something I didn't have before: leverage. Confidence. Power, not just because my body was changing, but because I had decided to change my life. The day I stood in front of the mirror and smiled, genuinely smiled at my reflection, I realized something. The woman looking back at me had always been there, buried under years of shame, ridicule, and silence, but she was there, and she was finally free. Do you know what real change feels like? It doesn't feel like fireworks. It doesn't feel like a Hollywood montage. It feels like small wins stacking up, quietly, powerfully, until one day, you don't recognize your own limits anymore. What happened to me? I woke up one Friday morning and pulled on a pair of jeans I hadn't worn in years. Not months, as years. The same jeans I had shoved to the back of the closet, hoping someday they'd fit again. They slipped on easily, and I stood there in shock, like I had just uncovered some long-lost version of myself. But this wasn't about jeans, this was about power. Something changed in the way I walked into work that day. I wasn't hunched over or trying to disappear. I stood tall. I looked people in the eye. And for the first time in a long time, they looked back with respect, not pity, not mockery. Respect. It's wild how quickly people change their tune once you start owning your worth. I started getting compliments from the same people who used to ignore me, but the most shocking part, they started asking me for advice. Hey, what are you doing lately? You look amazing. You have this glow, what's your secret? One of the women who used to constantly forget to invite me to meetings even cornered me by the coffee machine. I hope this isn't rude, but how did you do it? I paused. I looked her right in the eyes. And I smiled. Honestly, I almost forgot the name, but it's called Mitolyn. I watched her eyes light up like I had just handed her a key to a locked door, because that's what it was, for me. A key. A key to a life I didn't think I'd ever get to live, but let me tell you something they never talk about: changing your body is one thing. Changing your mindset? That's the real work. For so long, I believed I didn't deserve happiness. That being overweight made me less. That I had to tolerate the bare minimum from people because, somehow, I had earned it by not fitting in. But as I kept going, losing weight, gaining energy, taking care of myself, I realized something powerful. I never owed anyone an apology for my body. What I owed myself was self-respect, and now that I had it, I wasn't going to let anyone take it from me again. 3 months after I started Mitolyn, I got promoted. Yeah. Promoted. The same company that used to overlook me now wanted me to lead, and the best part? I didn't have to scream for attention or beg for recognition. My results spoke louder than my body ever did, but you know what still haunted me? All the women I used to see in the mirror, the ones still hiding. Still hoping someone would see them. Still believing they're not enough. That's why I'm telling this story. Not because I want validation, but because I want you to feel what I feel now. I want you to know that it's not too late. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to keep living a life of maybes and somedays. I'm living proof that you can go from invisible to unstoppable. You just have to take the first step. For me, that step was Mitolyn. For you, it might be this story. Either way, don't stop here. Asterisk. If someone had told me a year ago that people would one day look up to me, I would have laughed, not because I didn't have dreams. Not because I didn't want more. But because I didn't think I deserved to be admired. It's what years of exclusion does to you. It chips away at your confidence in the smallest, cruelest ways until one day you wake up and realize you're afraid of being seen. I used to avoid eye contact in meetings. Speak softly. Say sorry before making a point, even if I was right. I thought shrinking myself would make me safer, but all it did was make me disappear. Now I walk into rooms like I belong, because I do. The change didn't happen overnight. In fact, most days, it was slow. Subtle. Invisible to others, but inside, I was rebuilding a version of myself I had buried for years. The first version of me was scared. The second version of me was angry. But this version? This version is unapologetically powerful. Remember one day in particular, we're having a team-building seminar. You know the type: icebreakers, awkward group activities, motivational speakers who try a little too hard. I used to dread those days. They were always a reminder that I didn't fit the mold. That I was the odd one out. But this time, things were different. During a session on leadership, the facilitator asked a question: who here inspires you at work? And then it happened. 3 people, the 3, pointed to me. I froze. My heart started racing. I looked around, sure they had made a mistake. But they hadn't. One of them, a new hire, said, she's the first person who made me feel like I wasn't alone here. Another said, she carries herself with this quiet strength, like nothing can shake her. And the third, she said something I'll never forget: she transformed. And watching her made me believe I could, too. I went to the bathroom after that and cried. Not because I was sad, but because I realized something profound. My pain had become my purpose. The very experiences that once humiliated me were now the reason I could lift others. And that is a kind of power no one can take away from you. Of course, people kept asking how I did it. Some assumed I hired a personal trainer. Others thought I must have had surgery. Some even whispered behind my back, suggesting I had taken something illegal. But I always answered honestly. It started with something called, wait, what was the name again? I always pretend to forget, just to see their faces light up when I say it. Oh, right. Mitolyn. I say it with pride now. Because that one decision, to try something different, was the spark that changed everything. No, Mitolyn wasn't magic. But it felt like freedom in a bottle. It helped my body stop fighting me. It curbed my cravings, gave me clarity, boosted my energy, and most of all, it gave me momentum, and once I had momentum, there was no stopping me. I started moving my body, not out of punishment, but out of love. I started eating better, not from guilt, but from gratitude. I started speaking up, not with fear, but with fire, because I wasn't just losing weight. I was losing the beliefs that had kept me small my whole life, the belief that I had to earn kindness. The belief that love was for other women. The belief that success wasn't mine to have gone, and here's the most unexpected part, the very people who once excluded me now ask me for help, they DM me. They email me. They stop me in the parking lot or during lunch and say the same thing. I used to whisper to myself, I don't know where to start. I just know I can't stay like this. And you know what I tell them? Start with one decision. One choice. One change. That's all it takes to shift everything. Then I smile and say, I'll leave the name of what helped me in the YouTube comments again. It's called Mitolyn. I want you to try it, not because it's magic, but because you are. You just need something to wake that part of you up. Because here's what no one tells you, you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to be skinny to be seen. You just need to believe, for 1 second longer than your fear does. That belief, that spark, can turn a lifetime of shame into a future of strength, and I want that for you, all of it. There's a strange moment that comes after transformation, when you wake up one day and realize, you're not surviving anymore, the living. No more shame heavy on your shoulders. No more apologizing for existing. No more shrinking, hiding, dimming your light just to make others comfortable. You look in the mirror, not with disgust, not even with pride, but with peace, and that peace, it's priceless. It happened to me on a quiet Saturday morning. I had just finished my walk in the park, something I never thought I'd enjoy doing, much less crave. I came home, made a smoothie, sat on the couch, and caught my reflection in the glass door, and I froze, not because I didn't recognize the woman in front of me, but because I finally did. It wasn't just about the weight loss. Yes, that was dramatic, over 28 kilos gone, but what truly stunned me was the woman in her eyes. She looked strong. She looked soft. She looked like someone who had been through hell and built her own ladder to climb out. She looked like me. I used to think I had to become someone else to be loved. That I had to change my body to earn respect. That the world wouldn't open its arms to me unless I erased everything that made me too much. But the truth, I was never too much. I was just surrounded by people who wanted me to stay small so they could feel big, and the minute I stopped needing their approval, I found something so much better. Self-worth was never about being skinny. It was about being seen. It's when I knew my journey wasn't just personal anymore. It was a mission, because somewhere out there, another woman is crying in a bathroom stall at work, another woman is standing in front of her closet, tugging at clothes that no longer fit, her heart breaking quietly in the dark. Another woman is smiling in meetings while dying inside, pretending she doesn't hear the whispers or feel the stares. Another woman is hiding, starving, begging her body to be something it was never given the tools to be, and she's so close to giving up. But what if, instead of giving up, she found this story? What if this story is her turning point? So I'm not holding back anymore. I'm not ashamed to say it. Yes, Mitolyn helped me. Yes, I take it every day. Yes, I believe it gave me the boost I needed to break the chains that held me back for years. It helped reset my body's rhythm. It stopped the binge cycles. It gave me energy when I couldn't get out of bed. It made me believe change was possible, and when I believed in that, everything changed. But here's the truth: no supplement or program will ever advertise. The real change didn't start in my body. It started in my mind. It started the day I stopped asking for permission to exist, the day I stopped treating my reflection like an enemy, the day I stopped waiting for someone to save me, and became my own damn rescue. And now I speak in rooms I was once too scared to enter. I wear clothes that once felt off limits. I look people in the eyes and no longer flinch. I've helped dozens of women take their first step, simply by sharing my truth. Women who thought they were broken. Women who thought their value was tied to a number on the scale. Women who were ready to disappear, and now they're glowing. They're leading. They're remembering who they are. So if you're reading this, hear me loud and clear: you are not broken. You are not a failure. You are not your weight. You are worthy. You always were, you just forgot. And if you need a spark to remember, I'll say it one last time. Check the YouTube comments. I'm leaving the name there, again, for you. It's called Mitolyn, the thing that reminded me of my power. The thing that helped me take the first step. The thing I now share like a gift, because I want you to win too. Let them laugh. Let them whisper. Let them watch, because when you rise, and you will rise, they'll be the ones asking how you did it, and maybe you'll smile, just like I did, and say, I almost forgot the name, but oh right, it's called Mitolyn. Then you'll walk away, not needing their approval, because by then, you'll already know, you were never just the fat girl. You were a force in hiding. And now the world better brace itself, because you're just getting started. This is the last time I'll say it here, but not the last time I'll say it ever. I'm leaving the name again in the YouTube comments. Because if even one woman reads this and decides to fight for herself like I did, then all of it was worth it.